Hi, this is a quick video to help anyone who has a DS or DS Lite and you know that it is region free, but then you actually go get a game from Japan or vice versa and you stick it in and you're like, what? Why doesn't it show up? So don't worry, you're not bugging out. It is totally region free. It's not locked like the DSi or the later ones. You just need to, I'm going to tell you as I boot this up, you just need to change the language on it. That's how you do it. So you just got to turn it on. It'll come on. I currently have this in English. So right now, see, there's no cart inserted here. And then if I go and take a game from Japan, and I try to put it in as is. One second. So stick this in. I flip it back over. Oh no! What? Oh no, did I spend money on this? It doesn't work. No, just kidding. So yeah, so you might have done this and you freaked out and you're like, oh no. So is it region locked? And it's not. So what we need to do is, sorry if there's a little glare on the screen, we want to go to the settings. And you'll see there's these here. You want to go to the wrench. And then you want to go to the globe. Now I'm going to put it in Japanese. Dengenを切って終了します. So it's gonna reboot. Actually, it's not gonna boot for you. You're gonna have to turn it back on. So now it's in Japanese mode. And there it is. See the game showing up? Anpaman to Asabo Ayueo Kyoshitsu DX. So that's it. So don't worry. Don't freak out. It's not the end of the world. You just need to make sure that you're in the right language. And you can change this back and forth as many times as you want. Same thing. Again, even if you don't read Japanese yourself, this isn't rocket science. You can just look at the images. Same thing. You go back. Wrench. Globe. And you take it back to whatever, English or whatever. So if I want to play this game, obviously I'm going to leave this alone. Oh, actually, there's something, even if you don't make a change, what's kind of weird about the DS menu is that it still turns itself off every time you leave the settings. I guess there's some software reason for that, but so yeah, so Japanese mode, and the game's there, and it's going to boot up no problem. And this is the case with all games for the DS. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people, myself included, all Game Boys after the DS have a region lock. And having grown up with Game Boy was always unlocked. Original Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS, and then DS Lite was the last one that didn't have a region lock. And then every Game Boy after it was locked all the way through to the 3DS, all versions of the 3DS, the new 3DS, the new 2DS, essentially everything between 10 years essentially from, came out in 2006, everything from 2006 to 2016 had a region lock. Probably because Nintendo finally got an e-store going, and be quiet, Anpama. I'm talking. So Nintendo got their online store going, and I guess they didn't want people to be able to get stuff. It's whatever. But I personally knew that when the new one started coming out, and I refused to go any further than this. If you're thinking about buying, you know, a DS, or get the DS Lite, it's the best screen, best backlight, feels good in your hands. It's the best sized Game Boy that ever came out. I actually think this is where Nintendo handhelds peaked. Not to throw shade on some of the late new 3DS, which is obviously has a bigger screen and stuff, but in terms of the best games, there's a reason why everything on the Switch is a rehash of the DS games or the Wii U games. It's because those were actually the two best systems, and all Nintendo did was slap the two together to make the Switch. And that's one of the reasons why the Switch, if you've never had a video game system before, the Switch is the greatest thing you've ever played. And if you're cursed with being old enough to have grown up with all the Nintendos, the Switch is the hands down worst Nintendo system ever, because it's a step back from the Wii U and it's a step back from the DS. It's actually a worse system. You get worse value. But if you're into retro gaming, I'd say the DS Lite is a really good choice, because it gives you access to all Game Boy Advance games. I don't have a Game Boy Advance game in here right now. I have the memory expansion pack in it. But what you want to do is you want to buy, I guess, it's either a Game Boy Color or a Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Advance can play the old Game Boy games. It's a real shame. If the DS was able to play the Game Boy Color games, it might still be the best system Nintendo's ever brought out. Arguably, this is one of the best. The DS Lite was a peak, in my opinion, of the handhelds. So anyway, now you know how to switch the modes to play all the games here. Up here goes again. Be quiet. And yeah, you know, we live in a good time. We can go online and get access to all these games. And I hope this was helpful to anyone who's watching. And again, when this is done, you can always put it back in the other mode. So nothing here is permanent. Okay, see you later, Anpanman, and to everybody else who's listening.